There lies in the mind of man a dark corner of the psyche, where all mystery, curiosity, and wonder dwells in the shadow of man's consciousness. There his immersive imagination manifests with stories, visions, or even spontaneous revelations in their early development. The eccentric mind then stirs up cryptic suggestions for the most begging question of this light-filled cosmic existence, including those dark mysterious existences beyond the light-filled dimension. The mind of man then concocts ideas with once again ambiguous queries. These mere mental internal reviews on otherworld contemplations, which for the submissive weak mind of man, this can lead to delirium. One must then ask, what is delirium? Insanity is a perception on this reality which is seen by the masses as absurd, irrational, and lunacy. Insanity is, however, only a human concept. You cannot interface with the totality of existence with the mere mental restraints of so-called sanity. So what happens when the mortal mind removes logical, analytical, and mathematical inclined ways of thinking? Man's consciousness then becomes more receptive. Once this layer of the mind and the restraint is peeled back, another layer of the restraint in human awareness is revealed. The individual must then remove their so-called ego in order to not disrupt the knowledge channel from beyond. Once these layers are removed from the individual's consciousness, another layer must be destroyed in order to reach an expansion in human sentience. The human must release attachment from this reality, which is only an illusion. The illusion is made by minds of man in order to better engage with the complexity of our existence, your existence. Once the mortal mind obtains the realizations that what the senses perceive is an illusion, the wandering soul in search for answers must then rid the labyrinth of the senses of existence. The method of letting go of this reality are many, from mind-altering substances to self-hypnosis or ritualistic ancient rites in order to induce such a transcendental state. Once ego was burned away in the flames of evolution, then the logical mind state, which has been enforced into mind from birth, must be dropped. The illusion must be perceived by the methods of trance and altering observation. Only then is it perceived and then finally pierced. The field of consciousness then becomes a black hole, ready to devour all information from the external forces of this four-dimensional physical world. The answers to the data that you receive, however, will never be fully appreciated, for the mind can still not grasp the revelations in totality. Therefore, the psyche translates the communication between gods and man, changing power, energy, knowledge compartmentalized in vibrations, which to you are symbols. The psyche then translates these invisible symbols which enter the gateway of your imagination, flowing through the rift of the subconscious mind. This received data then gets filtered through the mind, translating it into words in your own native language and using internal imagery as well as words to imply the answer to your questions. The individual will then peak beyond enlightenment. The mind will pierce diabolical forces in order to obtain the greatest answers to the greatest questions, leading man to immerse the ancient sciences, lost and found exquisite spiritual practices. The occult takes all these implications and methods, doing away with the morals and dogma of the systematic control, which seeds originated in organized movements of governmental and religious stasis. The occult is then the temple of darkness, for which knowledge, power, and understanding can be truly obtained. This is the beginning of the Ascension. The curiosity of man was the seed planted. Water the seed with desire and will, and the fruit of godhood grows within. Climb the vines upon to reach the fruit. The metaphor represents the constant expansion and becoming of man in ascent. For man should not stop to become just God, but the void, the infinite, the limitless, without form. As the darkness expanding forever, fueling the blackened fire of soul. Whether morbid fascination, diabolical darkness, infernal empires rising from the earth, still keep pursuing the arcane horrors. Embrace it. Go through the darkness, become the devils, and even go into the light to become the wholesome angels, to only descend back into the infernal, gaping abyss, to repeat infinitely in ascent and descent, in expansion and expansion.